All right, check it out. Got the evaporator coil for the vintage air put in temporarily so I could put in the windshield wiper motor kit. That's what I got done this weekend. I spent some time with Christine trying to fit everything underneath the dash, made sure that my air conditioner was going to fit, windshield wiper was going to fit, the radio was going to fit, the speaker was going to fit, the clock, everything, making sure nothing's in the way of anything else. But it took some planning. It took a little bit of trial and error. But we got there. So if you're interested in seeing how I got this done this weekend, stay tuned. Hey, good morning. Welcome to Restoring Christine. It's a weekend. It's a beautiful day. Gorgeous day to be working on Christine. Gorgeous day to be doing anything, to be honest with you. Weather's perfect. Temperature's perfect. Sun shining. No rain. No breeze. It's just comfortable as can be. So I'm going to be out in the garage today, and I'm still waiting on some parts to come in from my windows, which is really what I want to do next, but I don't have that. So what I decided to do is I have a vintage air kit that I need to untangle. And I also have windshield wiper kit, and all that needs to go underneath the firewall, underneath the dashboard. And so what I thought I would do is I'd go ahead and start planning and strategizing while Christine behind me here. Start strategizing and trying to figure out how all that fits together, and maybe I can start getting some of that stuff mounted, or at least plan for where it's going to mount so that I know where to put all that. So that's what I'm going to be working on this weekend. So let's take a quick look at Christine. So I painted her in episode 107. Two different episodes. There's one that's the fast version that has everything in hyperlapse. When I painted Christine, it was a whole week's worth of work, 5 days worth of painting. And then there's another one, episode 107 slow, that has the entire paint job, all 5 days, just done without hyperlapse. And so if you're a marathoner, you can watch that video. Then I have 108. Episode 108 is when I did this spatter finish in the trunk. This is Zolo Tone, so that's episode 108. And that's what's going on with the body. You know, everything's here. I was doing some interior painting on some interior parts, but what I'm going to do this weekend is I'm going to try to climb underneath this dashboard and try to figure out the vintage air evaporator that comes here and try to work that out. And then I am going to work with my specialty power windows windshield wiper kit, and I did an unboxing of that, and I'm trying to think what episode that was, but whichever it was, I'll put a link up there. So I've got that kit down here. I've got just one of 4 boxes from Vintage Air right here, and this is all the interior evaporator kit, and I only opened the box just to confirm that this is the box I needed to bring home and open up to figure out what to do with Christine. So that's what we're going to do. Let me see if I can't get set up. We can start untangling this and figuring it out. So here we go. Okay, so this vintage air kit I happened to buy through Summit Racing. I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with that, but I went through Summit and I got everything other than the compressor. So the compressor I got from another supplier because I wanted the what they call the little peanut compressor. I wanted to be minimalist underneath the hood. So I have that. It's separate, but this is the evaporator kit. So I did discover this. This is the packing slip for what's in the box, and they have 2 different duct hoses. They have a 2-inch, 2.5-inch, glove box top, glove box bottom. So what is that? 3 and 4. Let's see. Number 5 is an installation kit. It looks like a whole bunch of small little parts. Number 6, a defrost duct assembly. That's one of the ones, the biggest one I'm concerned about. Let's see, where's number 6? Right there. Okay, so the defrost duct assembly. I'm concerned about that because that's right next to where the windshield wipers go. Firewall cover assembly. So that's the little bulkhead. Hardline kit. That's all, I guess, rigid hoses and rigid lines. Then there's a bracket kit, louver kit. Bracket kit, the louvers, there's these 2 vents. And then, let's see, number 11 is a control panel conversion kit. So that's got to be for all the little levers and knobs. And then this is a wiring harness. And then something that I will probably not use, which is the center vent outlet. And let's see what's number 14, a fresh air cap. So this must go somewhere on the kick panel. So that's everything that's in this box, and I need to now start untangling it and then see what components I need to figure out where they fit underneath there so that I can then figure out my windshield wiper. So the windshield wiper kit has the 2 transmissions that go on the firewall, and that's pretty easy and straightforward. I've got to figure out where to mount this motor. So the motor and the drive line, there's a little reciprocating little assembly here that the cable comes out, and this little cable goes through a series of tubes, and that's all very flexible. You can adapt and adjust and move it and put it where you want, which is why I got this kit to go with that vintage air. So that's what I'm working on. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go ahead and start unbox everything, and then I'll start pulling some parts out and then just holding onto them underneath the firewall and seeing how it all comes together. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, I've got the evaporator exposed. I've unpacked it, and there was another little bag that had brackets in it, and there's 3 brackets. There's this little small one, and there's 2 bigger ones that I pulled out and mounted in place just to see where they go. It was pretty obvious where they went. The diagram showed you, but there's 2 bolts in the back here, 2 bolts in the back here. There's one bracket here that's got a little cutout that's made to clear the refrigerant lines once they attach and come through the bulkhead. This I'm going to show you on the car, but this is a bolt hole that's right above the circle where the fan motor used to go. And then there's another hole in the firewall where this goes. So there's this bracket, and the third bracket, it shows up on top, and I haven't yet figured that out, but let's go take a look at the car and see where those 2 holes are. So one of them is this top hole above where the fan motor was. So there's 1, 2, 3 holes. The bulkhead that goes here is going to go to these 2, but the evaporator bracket mounts to that one, and then stepping back, the second evaporator bracket goes to this one, and this is the battery box, I believe, right here. So it's behind that. Here's what it looks like on the diagram. You can see the 2 bolt holes that I just pointed out, the one up here and the one over here, and you see where the bulkhead is. So that's what I've got to do, is I've got to figure out a way to get these two bolts and then evaporate and just hold it up temporarily. You know, I'm not putting it in permanently right now. I'm just trying to fit and get everything to where I know where all the AC parts are going to be, so I can put that windshield wiper kit in. I still need to do interior sound and heat insulation. I've got that in boxes ready to go in. I've still got to do, I've got to put the firewall pad in first. So there's that. There's a number of different things that have to happen, but right now, like I said, this is just planning. So we're just trying to get this thing laid out. So let me keep going. I got it in. My regulars to my channel know I work by myself to a fault. I don't have any help, but I figured out a way to get it in, but I got it attached. So there's the 2 bolts are in. Wait till you see this. So that was my helper. 5-gallon bucket, and it fit just perfect. So the folks at Vintage Air knew what they were doing. So this bucket just happened to hold it just right. But it's in there, and you can see where it aligns. So it's not tightened up, but there's the four outlets for the main vents, and then in the very front there's the 2 defrost vents, the outlets. So you can see how much lower the fan sits. So the fan sits about 3.5 inches maybe below this point, and this is sitting maybe about 5 inches below the bottom of the dash. So this kind of gets in your kick area, but it's impossible to do that. Now I put my windshield wiper transmission in. I just slipped it in. I got the other one on the other side too, over there. So that one's in, and I mean they're just sitting, you know. So they're just sitting. But I got the transmission motor, or the windshield wiper motor, and this is supposed to fit one of, or actually anywhere you want to put it. But they gave you 2 suggestions. They said, well, one good place to put it is in the kick panel area. So, okay, there's my kick panel area. Nope. Not unless I want to completely gut the cowl, you know, so that's not going to work. So that's where I originally thought I was going to put it. I thought I was going to put it there. But instead, the second place that they tell you where you can mount it is right behind here, behind the clock. So I need to go get my clock, put the clock in there and see how much room I've got, and then see how I can fit this, and I'll make the brackets and whatnot. And you never know, I might, shoot, it's still early, depending how the day goes, I might mount the, you know, or at least cut out all the tubing for the windshield wiper setup and go ahead and do that. And so let's just see where it goes. Get back with you in a minute. All right, I went to the warehouse where I'm keeping all of Christine's extra parts, all the stuff when I disassemble the car. I've got a lot of different stuff, and I just don't have enough room to store it in my garage. So I went and picked up a few things that I needed and I didn't think about. I also forgot. Already forgot some. I needed to pick up the nuts and the spacers that hold those windshield wiper transmissions, and I forgot them. But I did go pick up this. I picked up my clock and speaker grill that goes in the passenger side, because that's right where that windshield wiper motor wants to be. And then I also picked up my radio speaker. Then the last thing I picked up, which is something that the Vintage Air Kit also tells you to get rid of, which is the defroster duct. But I noticed that I knew that the old defroster duct, that's about 8 inches or so long, and the new defroster duct is much smaller. I don't know why, but maybe that's all you need. But you can see the difference in the amount of cross-sectional area you get on that. So I'm going to trust that Vintage Air knows what they're doing with designing these things. I'm going to go back with this. But I was really curious about the duct that went to the defrost, and to see if there's some sort of way to maybe make use of that. I don't know, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go ahead with the design system. So we're going to continue with that. But let me also tell you about, you know, the radio. You'll notice I just have one single. I guess it's the equivalent of what would be a 6x9 space. But these are just two small 3-inch or 4-inch speakers. And this has a very tinny AM sound to it, which I like. I play nothing but 50s music in Christine. So I like the tinny sound. To me, it's part of the whole atmosphere of the car. It's part of the vibe. So I'm going to go back with that. But that's where that speaker goes. It goes right behind that grill, and that's right where the windshield wiper motor goes. So I need to figure out how to fit all three of those things in the same space. So let's get after it. I was able to get the speaker in, going through the glove box hole with the Vintage Air box in, so that's good to know. I can get that whole frame. It was all assembled. I didn't have to take it apart. But it is really tight in there, like you can see. But it clears. So it clears the Vintage Air unit just barely, but it does, you know, so that all works well. And the Vintage Air unit, its bracket on the front is there, and then it attaches over that lip, which is now covered by this aluminum frame that holds this speaker. So now what I need to do is I need to figure out a way to get the clock and the speaker grill in there and see if I can't figure out how much space I actually have. All right, I just slipped it in place. I just have one very temporary, not the right trim screw, I've got it just screwed in there temporarily just to hold this in place so we can see how much room we got back here. And it's not a lot. You know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that motor right here. I think that's not going to be a good spot to mount it. Well, nope. It's not fitting on that passenger side. There's just too much going on over there. So even though you would think that the business end of everything is over here on the driver's side, the passenger side is chock-a-block with that new Vintage Air unit. It's just taking up way too much room with the speaker, the clock, and the evaporator coil. So now I'm moving my attention. I'm going to go to the driver's side, and I think this is going to work. So let's look at that. I just took off the bracket that kind of stiffens up the pedal area. So it's like right up in here I'm going to be able to put it, and which is pretty good because I'll have the motor. I'll have this motor up here some sort of which way. I think like this. Up here, and I'm gonna make a bracket to do that. And you can see now here's where the end comes out. The end comes out right here. So that cable needs to make a U-turn and then come right back to this transmission. So I think that's gonna work out fine. It's gonna be away from the defrost vent. I need to put a defrost vent in there to make sure. But that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to put this like that, and I'll make a bracket to bolt to that, and then maybe some other spot. All right, I made a bracket, this silver bracket here, that came with the kit, with the windshield wiper, and I just took a little flat bar. That's about a 1/16 of an inch thick. It's a pretty heavy duty piece of steel that I had left over from a cabinet or something. I just, you know, barred it, so I had to do this little dog leg in it to dodge the shape of everything back there. But let me go ahead and bolt it in place, and then you'll see how this is going to come together. All right, the day is quickly getting away from me. I keep having to stop and go pick up stuff, so I had to go back to the warehouse to go get my windshield wiper stuff. So let me show you. I went and got my original windshield wiper transmission because I needed this nut and I needed this spacer. So in the kit it says to reuse those two. And then my windshield wipers have my original escutcheons taped to them. So I need to see how that all comes together. But I need to go with my new transmissions, and I need to tighten these up because they're all wobbly. And once I tighten them up, then I'll be able to figure out exactly where this is going to rest. And then I can go ahead and take the tubing, and the tubing has the drive cable that goes through it, so I'll be able to route all that. So that's what I'm working on next. Let me go ahead and get these transmissions mounted, and hopefully we can get this thing in. Okay, the first question is going to answer itself, and that was how long to make these. So this has an adjustable nut on it, and here all I need to do is just take my original and just match that depth. So I'm going to do that on both of them. Go ahead and get them mounted, and then we'll take the next step. All right, so the first thing we need to do is take the aluminum tubing and put a flare on it. So I've got it clamped in my flaring tool. And this is pretty easy to use if you've never done it before. It's pretty simple. So all it does is it just takes a little cone, and it drives a little cone into the tubing and creates a bevel. So that's it. You just put it in, make sure it's clamped tight. And this is aluminum, so it'll flare pretty easy. And that's it. Just tighten it, back off, remove the piece, remove the tool. Hit it. There you go. And there it is. Nice pretty flare. So that's what locks this thing in place. So now what I need to do is I need to take that, attach that to the motor, and bend this around so that it comes to the first transmission. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, so what I did is I took a piece of aluminum wire, and I just went from the motor and wrapped it around, and then got to where the transmission is. And they tell you that this bend radius can't be any more than 3 inches. So 3 inches, that would be 6 inches in diameter. So I think I'm gonna have to curve it out and around and make this big U-turn and come back to this. But that's about the length that I need. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and bend this and then cut it long and then fit it in there and see, and then I'll flare it after I've got my final length. So to bend it, I am using, I got 2 of these. This one came from AutoZone, but they tell you to just bend it a little bit at a time. So I'm going to start right here and bend it out. Start bending it at least. But it's aluminum, so it ought to go real easy. Just ever so subtle. Just like that. So now I've started bending it away, and now what I need to do is I need to make a U-turn. Better. Compare it. That's a lot better. And that's about where I need to stop. I need to stop about right here. So let me go ahead and fit it in there. I'll go ahead and cut it and see what we're dealing with. All right, I got it routed. It's attached to the motor on this side. It's locked in the channel. And then here it's ready to get locked into that channel, but I don't want to bolt that just yet because now I've got to get this one to go from here past all the duct work where it's going to be, so I need to just hug the cowl pretty tight and then get to the next transmission motor, which is over there. So that's what I would do next. All right, I got it in. I got the last little tube in. I only needed to use the tubing bender just to do the first couple of bends to get it around this defrost duct, but on the other side I was able to just take the full length and just kind of bend it gently. And on this end, it's flared in, flared here, and this is just a dead end, a dead leg, so that when the cable that goes through it starts pistoning back and forth, it's got something to go into. So, but that's it. You can see how it fits around the defrost duct here. This one it passes in front of, the other one on the other side it passes behind, so it kind of makes a little bit of an S-turn. That's where the original transmission thing was, and the motor probably on the outside. But this is all underneath the dash, so you don't see it. There it is, and let's see the transmissions from the outside. You know, got that mounted, so it's coming along. And the vintage air, you know, that's just sitting there temporarily, but I mean, that's where it's going to be. So now I know all that stuff is going to fit, and I won't have to worry about my speaker or my clock. That's going to do it. It turned out to be a much longer day than what I thought. I didn't expect it to be this long, but I got it in. So we'll take it to the next step. And hey, great news! Guess what happened today? Today the UPS guy dropped off a lot of my window stuff. So be able to do that next time. So I think that's probably gonna be next weekend's episode. Is I'm gonna get into the window regulators, the rear glass, the door glass, and we'll start putting this thing back together. And it's really coming along. It's gonna come along pretty quickly. So that's gonna do it for this episode. Hope you're enjoying them. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're enjoying the channel, I'd love a subscription. So until I see you next time, please take care of yourself. Cheers.